So what he was saying is that our minds and our brains are made up of conscious and subconscious thoughts. Now, 95% of our brain is working on a subconscious level, which is like a computer software program, like he was saying. And the analogy, I mean, I was in tech, is kind of like, to me, it's like a bug in a software program, which is like our limiting beliefs. Now, all of the things that we do on a daily basis, from waking up, making our coffee, to the emotional reactions that we have, like these are imprinted and programmed into our subconscious. Like we're not consciously aware. We just do it intuitively because of the things that we've experienced until you start to become aware of them and change them. So obviously the talk today is about limiting beliefs and confidence. So limiting beliefs are beliefs that are holding us back from what we desire. So you might want the promotion, the relationship, to move countries, to buy a house. But if that subconscious fear is holding you back, that's going to hold you back from what you want. Because remember, our beliefs create our reality. So confidence, interestingly, is our feelings, beliefs, and a trust in that you can have or do something. But if you do not believe it, then you won't be confident. But if you believe it, then you will feel confident and trust in yourself. So it's kind of like a catch-22 double-edged sword. So if we can reframe our beliefs that we can do it, then you'll be confident. So and a lot of people come to me when I start working with them and they're like, I don't feel confident in meetings, or that I can ask for the promotion, or I have imposter syndrome. And it's because they don't believe in themselves. And there's a deep-seated limiting belief or doubt or fear that's been imprinted at some point in their life. This lady said to me the other day that worked as a paralegal, and a boss said to her that you're never going to amount to anything. And she said because of that, she just doesn't have the confidence to ask for a promotion or try anything different. So she's got this like biological and subconscious fear. So she doesn't put herself out there. And she's been doing the same thing for so long and inhibiting her potential. And I think this is so common, right? Like someone said something to us at some point and we just believe that to be true. So I want to invite you to think about one limiting belief that you have at the moment in relation to a desire that you really have. What is that? I know the topic today is career, but like, let's say you can obviously choose career. Do you want to get promoted? Do you want to try something different? Do you want to set up your own business? Is it a relationship? Like, what is that? What's really true to your heart? And what is the thing when you think about, and you can sometimes, I feel like closing your eyes can help to kind of really connect with, what is that limiting belief that you feel is holding you back? Okay, keep that thought. I'm going to play another video. Has anyone here heard of Roger Bannister?
And people had failed. The belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. What changed? 20,000 people. What changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done. And because they knew it had been done, there was a new belief about this barrier, about this goal that was unreachable. And those 20,000 people got in a race believing, knowing in their heart that someone had done it, that it's possible that they could do it. And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream around the world, it's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, that things can get better for me. It's possible.
When you hear that and you see these stories of people proving and doing the impossible, it makes you think, well, anything is possible. And something I always invite people to think about is, who is a role model in your life that has something that you want? And look at their story. Often we think that there is a linear path or a certain way that, you become something. But actually, I interviewed people on a podcast last year that I started. The whole purpose was I was so inspired and curious about like what people's stories of success was. and everyone's story is different. And I realized that everyone's story is so different, but there was always a common thread of like just taking a chance. And to me, it was, you really can do anything. And I saw this the other day, and impossible, but actually reframed as I'm possible. If you say that to yourself, like you can really do anything, but it goes deeper. So I'm going to introduce two things. So when a limiting belief happens and something happens, someone says something to us, you're not good enough. I listened to this podcast called Manifestation Babe, and she was, I don't know if you've listened to her. Anyway, I love her. And she was saying that she wanted to be a dancer when she was younger, but the instructor said to her, or her partner said, you're too fat. And so she just believed she was too fat. She was never going to be a good dancer. She didn't become a good dancer. So she had this like belief that her weight was a detriment to her success until she started to work through it and reframe it. So beliefs can really impact our subconscious, and our subconscious brain holds on to these beliefs. And like Dr. Joe Dispenza was just saying, like, what fires together wires together. So the more that you think something, the more that neurological pattern belief is imprinted in your brain. And you're creating all these new neurological connections again and again and again, every second of every day. So that's the first thing that happens when an event occurs. The second, and this to me has been so profound in my own experience this year, is our bodies hold on to the emotion, and our bodies hold on to it in our nervous system. So our nervous system is the conduit between our mind and our body. And emotions are essentially energy in motion. And our bodies are made up of 99% atoms, and atoms are energy. If you think about a cell, it's made up of positive and negative nucleus, ions. And so we're constantly vibrating at different frequencies, and different emotions hold different frequencies. And there's an emotional chart that shows high vibrations emit higher frequencies. So love, joy, bliss, enlightenment, they're all like higher vibrations. So that's why when people say, oh, that's so high vibe, it's literally we are vibrating at a higher frequency. Lower vibration emotions like anger, sadness, fear, judgment, they emit a lower vibration. So when something negative happens, our body holds on to that emotion. So just think of like someone says you're too fat, or you're never going to be anything, or you see your parents arguing, your body like contracts, right? And so you hold on to that emotion, and we're just not consciously aware of it. But physiologically we hold on to that emotion. And so when a situation that is similar or emulates that, our body gets triggered physiologically to that event. And so it's hardwired, not in our subconscious, but it's hardwired in our body as well, in our nervous system. And that's why things happen again and again on repeat. So there's really two things happening here. Holds on to these different energies. Is this making sense? Any questions? When this lady, for example, when she gets triggered by someone saying something to her, or a manager saying something, the reaction is to emulate that fear and that anger. Like I said, our bodies hold on to that emotion. So that's why we can tend to repeat things. So again, going back to what I was showing earlier, if you have a similar experience, and it doesn't have to be like for like, but have you ever been in a situation, maybe it's in a relationship, and that person says something and it's not like they really said anything that drastic, but it reminded you some way of what someone said to you at some point in your past. And because you had that experience, you've created that emotional connection and that thought, you react in the same way because that's your personality. And so you're recreating your reality. And that's why subconsciously are constantly repeating things in our lives. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I always say, as I said earlier, awareness of that belief and that emotion is the first step towards change. And that maybe sounds logical, but so often we're gliding through life without knowing that we keep making these mistakes, which was exactly my experience 8 years ago when I moved to London. And I was like, why do I keep getting into these like situations in my relationship at work with conflict? And it was only when I had someone play it back to me that I realized like, oh, wow, I'm the one. And that's when my kind of like quest to like really understand, where is this all coming from? So this is where I believe change really happens. So, I mentioned number one, subconscious wiring. We plant these beliefs in our subconscious, but that's where you can also rewire the beliefs. I'm going to talk through this in a second. The second is regulating our nervous system. And the interesting thing is anyone here familiar with like parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic? Okay, amazing. So the sympathetic nervous system is where fight or flight. Parasympathetic is repair, relax. Now, a lot of us live in our sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, go, 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 especially if you work for a company, you're in corporate, you're in a city, you have a lot of responsibilities, you've got a lot of things going on in life. You're probably living in this state. And a lot of us do. I did for a long time. And that's also where, from a like breath perspective, we tend to breathe here, these short, shallow breaths. Do you ever feel like anxious? Anxiety sits here. It's where sometimes I also find myself stopping to breathe. Like you're in front of your laptop and you're so deep in thought and you're like, oh my God, stop breathing. But this is where anxiety sort of perpetuates. But on the other side, we have our parasympathetic nervous system, which is all about repairing, relaxing. It's, doing things like meditating, walking, journaling, taking time out and not being in that go, go, go. I was at a retreat last year and this lady who's facilitating an event, a session, said, invited everyone to think, how much of your day do you spend in your parasympathetic nervous system? Maybe my invitation to you is to think, what percentage of your day are you in that repair, relax? 5%, 10%? When I answered it at the time, I was like 10%. Well, no wonder that we're feeling anxious and burned out and overwhelmed, and we like have all of these symptoms of stress and fears and limiting beliefs. It's because we're constantly in this state of fear, in this constant state of fight or flight. And so it's really about regulating your nervous system so that you can tap more back into that, doing activities that support your nervous system.